The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Monarch Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgambling.com/RATHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Monday afternoon, roughly 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time on September 30th. I'm your host, always, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. The second episode of the day. Did an episode for the Beijing semis a couple hours ago. Now it's time to continue with the Tokyo final, as we have a matchup between Humbert and Fils. They're going to preview in a second. For that, though, do want to remind you once again that you can show support for the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube, either when you watch the live stream or when you are watching the video afterwards. But please leave a like and subscribe once again to show support for the show. Plus a reminder that you can still show support for this podcast audio only format in Spotify and Apple. So recommend, once again, if you're still listening to the podcast audio only, that's fine, but please leave some feedback, leave a rating and a review. Plus a reminder, check out the SGPN merch store. A lot of great Tennis Gambling Podcast merch. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs, all high quality, all affordable. We also have different colors for shirts. It's a lot of options that you can choose from. So recommend going to the merch store and finding something that you do like. Plus a reminder, we have other shows on the network that also have merch. We have the college experience as well as the Propcast. And a reminder that they do have pregame shows for the actual slates on Saturday and Sunday. SGPN has the most DGen pregame shows in the world. Saturday, College Experience YouTube is live starting at 11 a.m. Eastern for the NFL. The Propcast kicks off 11 a.m. on Sunday, followed by SGP. So you have the Sports Camp Podcast, the main show, which also has a pregame show at noon Eastern. Last second bets, DGen parlays, your calls, and more. So check out those shows as well if you want some last second thoughts on football. Anyway, time to get into the actual recap of the semis episode in Tokyo. So the game plan for the Beijing and the Tokyo episodes for today was recapping that tournament's matches that the day prior. So once again, in the Beijing match, we did not talk about the semis in Tokyo. We skipped those to save it for this episode. So getting into the actual recap of our picks from the semis, overall decent, pretty much the exact same script as the Beijing episode because we won the lock, but we had a heartbreaker on the dog. So for the actual lock, nice winner, we had Humbert -1 and -145 against Makic as he won in 3 sets. Definitely seemed like he was in control for most of it, but he did struggle in the second set. Then he ended up rebounding and dominated the third set as he won 6-2. So nice winner there as Humbert got the job done. At the end of the day, it just seemed like he was constantly hitting his spots on the wings, and he just kept hitting every line. So Humbert kind of hit a certain gear. Makic couldn't match it, and Humbert did eventually win in 3 sets, but he covered the spread. For the dog, what a heartbreaker. I had Fils and Rune over 2.5 sets at +125. Definitely the right read because Fils won in 2 tie breaks, and you were looking at Rune having a set point in the first set tie break and 2 set points in the second tie break, and he lost both of them 10-8 and 12-10. What a heartbreaker. The match was incredible, though. Fils did a great job of maintaining his nerve. Should have probably won more convincingly in the second set as he led 6-3 in the breaker, then lost the next 4 points, fought off once again a couple of set points, and got the job done. Once again, it took him about 6 match points before he finally converted, so nice job by him. Wasn't easy, but he got the job done, but unfortunately for us, Rune had a couple chances, could not convert, and ended up losing in straight sets. What a shame. +125 for a war is definitely a good price, but we got the war, just didn't get Rune winning the point that we needed. So either way, picked up a loss there and ended up splitting because of it. So overall, not the worst episode. Could have been better if we ended up getting Rune to win one of those 2 key points in the breaker. But it is what it is, and we'll look for a sweep here on the Tuesday matches for both Beijing and for Tokyo. Now, getting to the matches in particular, said before that I thought Humbert looked pretty comfortable for most of the match, did win the first set 6-3. Then he went down to break early in the second set. Makic had a couple of moments where you thought maybe Humbert was going to break back late in that second set. As Makic, for example, did end up having a 15-40 while sorting it out in the 5-3 game. Fought off the 2 breakpoints, though, and eventually did convert on his second set point. Then Humbert once again went up in the middle of the third set. It was 2-2, and then he won the last 4 games. So Humbert just seemed like he was hitting a certain gear. The forehand and the backhand were really just on point. Felt like he was hitting every spot he needed to. Humbert served better. He won 11% more on the first serve and 4% more on the second serve. In fact, Humbert only faced one break point in the entire match. Now, he got broken with that in the second set, but you're looking at how these guys matched up against each other. Felt like Humbert was, I'd say, ahead most of the way, at least based on the eye test, and eventually the eye test played itself out as Humbert wore down Makic and got the job done in 3. So once again, that was a pretty fun match, but the Fils-Rune match was phenomenal. I'm not saying it's going to be match of the year or anything, but it was definitely a phenomenal match that I recommend watching highlights of because both guys were killing each other. Fils was hitting a bunch of spots. Felt like Rune was really doing well at the net. He had a couple of really nice dink volleys, and it seemed like he really had a good gauge of when to come forward. And then the match culminated on Fils hitting a pretty impressive passing shot once Rune ended up coming towards the net. But either way, point is fun pair of matches there in Tokyo on Monday. Hopefully the match on Tuesday is as good. Either way, though, before we get into the actual preview of the final between Humbert and Fils, want to remind you once again, they were brought to you by Nordic Fantasy because they have a lot of great pick'em options on their menus. And a reminder that they have the NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and more. They're always jam-packed with profit boosts. And a reminder, they can do specials and boosts on Airflex Centuries. They'll probably do something for the NFL game tonight, or one of them. I'll go with Will Levis higher in reception. We know he's a turnover machine, and he did throw a pick against the Dolphins last year. Give me Levis higher, half a pick, and I think that's a pretty solid option. Either way, though, reminder, sign up the promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and your first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 bonus cash on fantasy promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Just finished recapping what happened on Monday in Tokyo. Now it's time for the preview of the final between Fils and Humbert. Now, for this one, Humbert is about minus 180. You have Fils at around plus 160. For the game spread, you have minus 2 for Humbert, plus 2 for Fils. You can find minus 1, though, at around minus 145, give or take. As for Fils, though, you can find plus 1 or plus 120. For the over-under, you have around 23 games, give or take. For the set spread, Humbert in straight sets is a plus 160. Fils to win ace sets minus 200, and the over 2.5 sets is a plus 125. Now, for the head-to-head, Humbert has owned the head-to-head as he's 4-0 lifetime. So Humbert has kind of had Fils' number, faced off actually earlier this year, and we saw them face off in Canada, and you saw Fils get his ass kicked. Humbert ended up winning that one in Montreal back in August, 6-2, 6-2. So once again, he won comfortably, but Fils was in really bad form, and it appears that he has regained that form as he has been in just overall, I don't want to say his best form in months, but I think you kind of have to say that because he ended up winning the final match in the Davis Cup, beating Leheshka in 3. Then he beat Fritz, beat Berrettini. Was fortunate, though, because Berrettini got injured. Beat Shelton and beat Rune. Good competition. That's a very tough group of 4 guys to beat in the tournament. So Fils is now in the final, but Humbert, I said before, is 4-0 lifetime, and he's only dropped 1 set in the 4 meetings. Faced off 4 times in the span of the last 2 years. Faced off in Montreal this year and in Den Bosch earlier this year on grass. Humbert won that one in straight sets. Cincinnati last year, Humbert did win that one in 3 and faced off in Bordeaux on clay last year, and Humbert won that one in straight sets. So based on head-to-head history, Humbert should be the favorite, which he is, and he probably should win. Now, going by eye test, I said before, I think whoever wins the Humbert-Draper match was going to win the entire thing, and now you have the guy winning that match in the final. So I do think Humbert is worthy being the favorite. The problem is trying to find value because Humbert, for the record, did not drop a set until the last match against Makic. But I said before, even in that 3-setter, he was, once again, only facing 1 break point in the entire match. I thought he was great for the majority of that matchup. So I think Humbert, once again, is in better form. It's close, but I think that Humbert should be favored. The issue is trying to find value because Fils we've seen go to a bunch of breakers. On the other hand, though, Humbert's gone to no breakers in the entire event. But Fils has had 4 straight sets go to tie breaks, and he has had a total of 6 straight sets have at least 12 games. So 6 straight sets that Fils has been in have finished either 7-5 or 7-6. So you kind of have I'd say a clashing here between straight sets with pretty convincing wins compared to a guy that goes to every set having him of either 12 or 13 games in it. So the total's a bit tricky. For this one, even though Humbert has been better in my opinion, I think Fees cannot be slept on. I think Fees has played some great tennis. He's beaten some top-tier competition. He has faced better competition than Humbert has. So I do think when you're factoring in Makic, Draper, who got injured, Nagashima, and Mochizuki, comparing to the likes of Fritz, Berrettini, Shelton, and Rune, obviously Fees has faced off against better competition. So I do think with him being battle-tested, he can pull this off. But I think Humbert is just a bad matchup for him. And with that being the case, I am going to pick Humbert to win. I'm going to go with the spread. I think that you can find -1, -1.5. I don't mind that. But I think for the sake of the matchup, I'm going to lean to the over as well, which might sound a bit contrarian, or I should say a bit of a paradox, because I am going with the favorite to cover with the over for the actual match. But I think it's going to be a close one. I think it should be a lot of, I'd say, drama. It should be drama-filled. But I think that you're looking at Humbert being, in my opinion, in better form, and with him being 4-0 in the head-to-head, I think I got to pick him to win. So once again, I am going to go with Humbert to get the job done, minus the 1 or 1.5 games. But I am going to go with the over in this one. Think you are looking at maybe a breaker in there. You might end up seeing, once again, a war that could go 3 sets. But I think Humbert is just going to have a little bit too much for Fees to handle, and I am going to go with Humbert to get the job done because of it. So once again, my thoughts for this matchup, I am going to go with Humbert to win, and I think the over is also worth a look. That's going to wrap it up for the actual preview of this match. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. But for that, remind me once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm, because if you ever wanted to build your own model, Rhythm can help you do that. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom models in seconds. Get predictions on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. A reminder, you can build your own model. You can copy one of the top-performing models on the leaderboard, or you can press build a model for me, and Rhythm will give you predictions on every game with player props. And they also have a bunch of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you more betting insight. And a reminder, they also have a free trial. Claim a 7-day free trial that is by going to sportscampus.com/rhythm, sportscampus.com/RITHM. We're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS is the best in the business, and BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. They also have a bunch of easy ways to deposit, including crypto. Use crypto to deposit and get lightning-fast payouts. U.S. players are always welcome. And a reminder, use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Once again, 125% is a great deal, and recommend doing so. Go to the link. Go to sportscampus.com/BetUS, sportscampus.com/BetUS, using the promo code SGPN. Then we send you BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing the final in Tokyo. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I am going to go back to the play that we actually won with in the semis. This time, better odds. Going to go with Humbert, -1 on the spread at -137. Humbert, I said before, is 4-0 lifetime against Fees. He's covered the spread in all 4 meetings. Saw him beat Fees both times this year in straight sets. Faced off on hard court a couple months ago, or I should say a month ago, in Montreal, and we saw Humbert beat him 6-2, 6-2. Now, Fees has regained some form, but Humbert's only dropped to 1-7 the entire event. I think he's been great. He's been serving very well, and I do think that he is right now in slightly better form than Fees. But the numbers speak for themselves. 4-0 head-to-head. He won both meetings in straight sets. I like the value at -137 on the spread. Plus, Fees has played a lot of tennis over the last few days. Had a 3-set marathon against Shelton. Had a war against Rune. Fatigue could be an issue, and I see that being brought up in the comment section as Matt's talking about Fees getting cramps. I don't mind the possibility of that happening. I think that Fees, who battled some cramps in the Shelton match, who got through against Rune, if this match turns into an extremely stressful one, I can see Fees struggling physically in the 3rd set. Now, I think you make the argument that Fees can keep it interesting, but with the head-to-head and with the overall, I'd say, ease that Humbert has gotten past most of the competition here, while the amount of difficulty, by comparison, that Fees has, there is a pretty decent stamina advantage, or there should be, in favor of Humbert. And I think eventually, for what I think should be a competitive war, I'll take the guy that I think has more stamina and the guy that's had an easier path. Fees has shown some cramping signs over the course of the event, so I don't mind that potential wrinkle in the match. But give me Humbert, -1. I'm not going to turn my back on what I said a couple of episodes ago. I said whoever won the Draper and Humbert match, I would pick to win the whole thing. And Humbert's in the final. He's favored. I'll back it. But you're going to give me a -1 at -137 when he's around -180 on the money line. I'll save the 43 cents. Give me the spread on that one to get the job done. I see a question, though, from, I'm going to butcher that, Prathip. I might be butchering that, but I'll just run with it. That was actually my runner-up for the lock. I initially had that written down, and I changed it. Because Humbert and Fees, I think, will break each other a decent amount. I see some breaks here. The problem is, you're looking at the sets in this event, and Fees has just been a tiebreak machine. Fees has gone to a tiebreak in 4 sets in a row, and he's gone to a tiebreak in 5 of the last 6 sets. Now, Humbert's been the opposite. He's had no breaks here, and I will point out in the head-to-head, you are looking at 4 meetings that have gone a total of 7 sets, only 1 breaker. I thought about it. It was minus 110, so I gave that a consideration. Decided not to do it, just based on Fees' overall tiebreak, I'd say consistency, but that was my runner-up play. Thought about it, decided to go elsewhere. I think Ugo is going to win, so I'll take that instead. But no tiebreak was my runner-up at minus 110 on Bet365. Looked into it, thought that was worth a look. See a comment as well saying that Humbert is undefeated in finals. That is true too. So he has been very good in these moments in the past. So I am going to go with him to do so once again. Give me Humbert -1 as my lock. For the dog, it was going to be no breakers, but that was unfortunately minus money, so I couldn't take it. For the dog, I am going to go with a marathon. Give me the over 2.5 sets of +130, mostly based on Fees and Humbert looking like they're on I should say a collision course for what should be, in my opinion, a serious war. Now, if Fees ends up cramping, it is what it is. Thought about Humbert in straight sets, but I do think he left the door open for Makic, and I do think that Fees has proven in various matches in this event he will go down swinging. So I think that Fees can find a way to steal a set. Fees has lost at least 1 set in 9 of the last 10 matches he's played in. Only exception was the Rune match, where Rune did have a set point in the first set and 2 set points in the second set. So it could easily be 10 straight. But it's 9 of 10. Humbert, though, I thought once again got broken in the second set, and I do think with Fees' form, I think Fees can definitely find a way through for at least 1 set. Do I think he can outplay Humbert for 30 minutes? Yes, I do. I see a competitive matchup, though. It's going against the head-to-head, kinda, but I am picking Fees to be competitive. It's tricky to fully factor in the head-to-head for this past year when Fees was in awful form for most of the year besides Hamburg. I think he's regained form. I think Humbert will win, but I think it will be a struggle. Give me Fees and Humbert over 2.5 sets at +130 as my dog. So once again, my picks for the show. The lock's going to be on Humbert, -1 at -137. The dog will be on Humbert and Fees over 2.5 sets at +130. Reminder back once again, tomorrow for 2 episodes. I'm going to do the episode for Beijing first. We have the final, and that one, which I'm assuming will be Alcaraz versus Sinner. We'll see what happens. We'll preview that episode tomorrow. And a reminder, we have Shanghai coming up, so we're going to preview that entire tournament with outright. So stay tuned for those 2 episodes on a Tuesday. Until next time, though, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Find me on the NBA show, the WNBA show, and find me on the MLB show as well. A reminder as well, before I forget, please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And a reminder, if you're still listening to the podcast audio only, please leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.